Elizabeth is a fake monarch. Her father became illegal George VI because he works for the Illuminati and takes orders from them. I've put all this up on Facebook and YouTube. He helped take down his own brother with the Illuminati, a plot to take down Edward VIII with character assassination. King Edward VIII had integrity, something that's missing in the rest of that bunch. George, Elizabeth, etc. It was a plot to take down King Edward VIII. He was actually married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin, a school teacher. They were married then. She was the Queen of England, 36. He was forced out in 36. And history still tells you today, with all this input of the wedding of Meghan Markle to Harry, it's bringing back up and it's lying. Edward VIII never had anything to do with Wallis Simpson. She married an imposter, a double. She's an American spy. The whole thing was rigged to get rid of King Edward VIII. The Illuminati installed George, the illegal George VI, and thus Elizabeth. Do they know that King Edward was married? Of course they do. They knew that Wallis was married a double, illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. The illegal, well, there was actually more than one double, and they did bad behavior. And after a time, it stuck, and people thought part of it was my father. But they got away with it. Elizabeth, her father, illegal George VI, had sold out his own brother with Sir Winston Churchill, who burned the Windsor files. My birth, I was born in 39, their only child, only daughter, heir to the British Crown. It was illegal removal, and my father had an addendum that was legal that made me monarch the day I was born, Victoria II. They kidnapped me, the Illuminati. They took him down. He wouldn't follow their orders and work for them. He worked for the British government. That's his job. He did it. They kidnapped his only daughter, me, and in essence, they stole my mother's. It's been lied about when she died. I found out in 1983 after I was in a political campaign to replace U.S. Congressman Larry McDonald, who went down, or supposedly he did, in the KAL that shot down August 31st of 83. Let me say this. Larry McDonald was supposed to be on it. I had written about him in a medical malpractice book and tried to get it published in 79. Had a letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved. I was almost killed April Fool Day of 80. I found out when I was flown out to Larry Flint's, who had been shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, when I was doing the book, writing the medical malpractice book. And so he flew me out there in 83, and he did a endorsement in Hustler magazine editorial that stated I knew who was responsible for his shooting. And he mentions Larry McDonald. Well, Larry McDonald was part of trying to have me killed April Fool Day of 80. So anyway, this has been ongoing. I found out my name, and I put up, I had forgotten all about it, but this was prior to 83. I'm thinking, I put a video up yesterday, and I was thinking it was about 1976. It might have been a few years earlier that I interviewed for a job with a bank there in Smyrna, Marietta. And I believe it was on Highway 41 going out to Marietta that the bank was. It was in Smyrna, though, close there. It was a kind of new one. Didn't even remember this until yesterday. And this is prior to knowing about my kidnapping, totally knowing about it. The Brits and the Germans told me, and some Americans. And the family where they put me were horrible. The woman had killed her twins, Peggy and Carl. Peggy was killed about a week or 2 weeks before I was put there. So this was all planned. she would have faced the gas chamber. So the family went along with me being put there and actually went along with killing the real Peggy. Carl was killed about a month after birth. They were born out of wedlock. Now, where am I going with this? I've put it up so many times, all this, since 2012 on YouTube and then Facebook the next year. I'm hoping there is still a way to clear my father's name and address the crimes that have been done to me and my sons, Mark and Scott, who are heirs after me. They're the legal heirs. They're the